are less people becoming doctors now?
More and more medical students have higher and higher levels of debt. There are significant issues with the training of junior doctors in the UK. BMA has produced evidence. Over the last 15 years, the salary relative to 15 years ago has dropped by a third or nearly a third. People are being paid less, working more, and learning less is taking this very seriously.
What is the solution going forward? Hello and welcome to HealthCross Talks. Today, we are going to talk about something extremely important. Why are doctors today unhappy? Why are they striking every other day? And are enough students wanting to be doctors now? And if not, then why not? And to answer all these questions, I have with me Professor Ahluwalia, who teaches in the Anglia Ruskin University and in the education department. Why are medical students unhappy? Why are there so many strikes happening?
Thank you for that very important question, that we need to think about the future workforce of the NHS, the medical workforce of the NHS, and why it is unhappy. There is a perception amongst resident doctors that their salary has deteriorated in real terms, I think up to about a third compared to 2008. Now that is real, it is measurable, and they are seeing it. But beyond that, there is also a significant perception that the experience of learning in the NHS for resident doctors has also become worse. There are challenges with rotations, there are challenges with learning on the job, there is a perception that they are over-assessed, and there has been a loss of the team structure that acted as a support and camaraderie that doesn't exist anymore. So these factors have fed into the perception that there is a lot wrong with medical education. Unfortunately, some of that has rubbed off into the undergraduate medical space as well. And particularly the issues about the cost of living are a real challenge for undergraduate medical students. The BMA recently undertook a survey in which they demonstrated that more and more medical students have higher and higher levels of debt. And that is indeed a worry for many, particularly because the undergraduate course is usually a 5, sometimes a 6-year program, and then people are accumulating debt over a long period of time, often in the tens of thousands and sometimes more. So if you add all of that together, what one begins to perceive is that actually there is a large group of people who will be coming into medicine for a career who are unhappy with that training because of those reasons.
You kept mentioning perception. Is it true or is it a perception?
Well, it is true that junior doctors' salaries are not at the same level that they used to be back in 2008. It is also true that there are significant issues with the training of junior doctors in the UK. There was a report published, I think earlier this month, which demonstrated that there are real issues with the training that junior doctors get, and the public recognises that there is a problem with the training that junior doctors get as well. I use the word junior doctors, I should be saying resident doctors because the name has changed in the last year. So the fact that actually we have a report that tells us that there is an issue, this has been published by Sir Chris Whitty and by Sir Steve Powis, two very eminent medical doctors and leaders in the United Kingdom. We need to take seriously the issues that we're dealing with.
So what are the top 3 issues that we are dealing with that is leading on to this? And please do quantify for people like me who are not from the medical profession.
BMA has produced evidence, which is that actually over the last 15 years, the salary relative to 15 years ago has dropped by a third or nearly a third. And that is a significant amount of money if you think about what junior resident doctors get in the UK. In terms of the issues that were flagged in the report produced earlier on this month, there are a number. One of them is to do with the delivery of education itself. So there are things like people having to move from one hospital to another a lot of the time that causes resident doctors issues. Another is a sense that they have to do far too many exams and sit far too many assessments that are actually very expensive. And the third is that actually the service, the need to deliver care is drowning out the ability and time to study. So if you add all of that together, that means that people are being paid less, working more, and learning less all at the same time.
And not breathing at the same time.
And not having any space in which to actually have a work-life balance. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, they can't breathe. I'm not able to breathe with all that you told me.
Indeed.
Thank God I'm not a doctor.
But having said all of that, the fact that actually the NHS England, which is the body that manages the postgraduate training of resident doctors in England, is taking this very seriously, having produced a report, and is now looking to develop a plan to tackle these very issues that have been identified in the report, is, in my opinion, very positive.
Okay, and that, of course, is now going to be fed into the Department of Health and the 10-year plan, I suppose.
Indeed. The Department of Health has been very keen to support the development of this report, and therefore the solutions that will come from it will, I am sure, have Department of Health backing.
Because you are in education,
Yeah.
You're training the tomorrow's resident doctors.
Yeah.
Do you see the impact of unhappiness in the profession shown in the eagerness to become a doctor? Are less people becoming doctors now?
I think it's fair to say that until last year, at least at my medical school, we saw fewer and fewer applicants.
Really?
Yeah. Which isn't to say that that means that we didn't have enough people to fill our places. That wasn't the case. It remained competitive, but we were seeing a reduction in the number of applications. I'm glad to say this year we've seen a significant rise in the number of people wanting to study medicine again, and that is very heartening.
But overall, am I right to say that the interest in becoming a doctor has gone down?
I don't think so. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't jump to that conclusion at this moment in time. I think we are still seeing medicine as a very competitive specialty with a very healthy number of applications across the UK.
What challenges do you face?
So some of the challenges that medical students face to do with the cost of living. Being in a course for 5 years is actually quite an expensive experience. The second is that medical course remains, I think, rigorous, requires long hours of study, and requires learning not only in the classroom, but going to the GP surgery or to the hospital to learn in the clinical workplace as well. So that has quite a lot involved, and getting people ready for that type of learning is really, really important. A third thing that I think is really challenging for medical students is that there is that sense that actually the rest of the profession is unhappy. There's talk about junior resident doctors being on strike, consultants not being happy, GPs being in a state of constant challenge with the government. That feeds into morale and a sense that actually the profession is not in a good place. And then there is the issue about what's known as bottlenecks, where applying into higher training to become a resident doctor is perceived to be difficult, that competition ratios have gone up, that there's no guarantee that individuals will get a job. And if they do get a job, it'll not be in the specialty that people want, or it may be in the wrong part of the country to where they want to be. So those are the kinds of issues that sort of feed into the mindset of students and generates a degree of unhappiness.
What is the solution going forward for doctors not to be unhappy, let's say?
There is already a lot that is being done, and that's important to say. So dealing with what are known as hygiene factors, where sort of making sure that individual resident doctors have a named supervisor, that we think very carefully about the number of times they need to rotate across a region is reduced as much as possible, that actually people can link in and be with their family and their support structures as much as possible, that we understand that resident doctors want to learn. The way they want to learn is catered for, because a lot of younger people like AI and technology as part of their learning journey, that we appreciate the fact that actually sometimes people want to do several things together. So some people like to do sports. So having a greater degree of flexibility in the training program so that people can do other things that they enjoy doing, having a work-life balance. So attending to that, I think, are some of the things that this report will seek to achieve. And with that, I hope that we will see some improvement in morale and some improvement in a sense that actually the profession is heading in the right direction. Alongside that, the government has committed to reversing some of the attrition in pay that has been seen over the last 15 years. Indeed, last year, the Labour government actually gave quite a significant pay rise to resident doctors in recognition of that, and I think is committed to reversing that trend. The speed at which the resident doctors want to see that reversal take place is different to the speed at which the government wants to see that reversal take place. So those two,
or the speed at which the cost of living is going up and the economy is going all over the place is never going to be the speed at which the pays will go up.
That is also true, but that is a matter for the BMA as the representative organisation for the resident doctors, and for the Department of Health as the body that sort of negotiates those kinds of things to take place. That's really not in my gift.
I know. Of course, I wish it was in all our gifts, then, but hardly. Being in education, the speed at which AI is speeding, is education, including medical education, able to keep pace with it?
That's a really profound question, to be honest. I mean, I think that's a really, really profound question. I was at a talk where someone said to me that when they were a medical student, they had to do an assessment where they took a stethoscope and listened to the heart, and then had to describe what they heard and make a diagnosis. Now on the market is available a stethoscope that is capable of listening to the heart and giving the diagnosis without needing to listen. So what is it that we are going to test for now? Are we going to test for the fact that actually that individual needs to know how to listen to the heart and make a diagnosis, or do they need to know where to put the stethoscope so that the stethoscope can make the diagnosis? Medical education needs to think very carefully about how these new technologies are going to shape the way we work as doctors, and make sure that what we test and how we teach reflect that changing environment. So that, I think, is going to be a profound revolution. I don't think we're going to be doing away with doctors, just to be absolutely clear, but what we do and the way we work, I think, is going to change profoundly over the next 5 to 10 years. And in medical education, we need to keep pace with that.
But are we keeping? I'm just quite worried. Do you get time to keep pace with it? You feed into the education you teach.
Sure.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is tough. But actually, many universities, I think, have invested a huge amount of time and resource in the use of technology in teaching. So we have laboratories that mimic real environments. We are using technology for assessment. We use technology for teaching. We are beginning to use technology for all sorts of other things as well. Some universities are now teaching anatomy using technology, 3D technology, using visors and all sorts of modern types of technology. So we are beginning to get to grips with it, and we've got further to go, but I think the universities are definitely on a journey on that one.
What would be that 3 advice, let's say to the 10-year plan or to the Department of Health?
So the first is, I think medical education needs to remain focused on the needs of the patient first and the learner. Really important. Medical education needs to focus back in on its primary purpose, which is to produce people who care for patients. But we've also got to make sure that we look after learners as well, because I think that has been something that may have been slipping over a period of time. So that's number one. The second is that actually the future of medical education is going to land if we embrace technology and we embrace change as an absolute central component of what we do in education. The third, I think, that's really important is that actually healthcare and healthcare delivery is a team sport. No doctor can provide care in the modern world by themselves, or indeed by themselves with just technology. We still need many different types of people to look after patients, because patients are increasingly complex, increasingly elderly, and increasingly needing more and more care. The only way to do that is by being part of a team. So medical education has got to work alongside and with other professional groups to develop the future doctor who is a team player.
Because doctors put patients first all the time, they are constantly exhausted.
I think
How
that
do you get that balance right?
Yeah.
And that is patient care as well at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely right. I think the most important thing, though, is to make sure that we don't lose sight of that. So in the people that we select into medical school, in the way we teach medical education, and the way we assess patients, when we think about the needs of resident doctors, we're also constantly making sure that their needs are aligned to the needs of patients as well. It's really important.
I'll just end by asking you, for anyone who feels, wishes to be a doctor, young student, year 13, what does he need to have in him? What do you see in that person? Forget about numbers, I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure. One of them is a real sense that being a medic is about helping others. I think that's got to be first and foremost. Then the inherent uncertainty that medicine is, looking after people, is not something that is straightforward. You don't just follow a protocol and everything will be okay. Actually, patients are complex. Things happen that one has to anticipate for and plan for, and that it can be quite tiring and exhausting emotionally and psychologically and cognitively. So being prepared for that, I think, is really important. I think it's worth remembering that medicine is a team sport. One doesn't do it alone, one does it with others. I think that's really important as well. And to remember that actually medicine isn't anymore about the biophysical. It is about the biophysical, psychological and social, the whole person, not just a bit of the person. And if you can think about medicine as being like that, it'll be a really attractive career for one's whole life. It's worth also saying that actually I started out doing one thing and I've ended up doing something completely different. And between those 30 years, I have changed my job and my career several times, and I've needed the skills to be able to keep doing that over a period of time. So that adaptability is an also really important part of being a medic, in my opinion.
And now, just to answer, do you have hope that our doctors or junior doctors, resident doctors would be happy?
I do think things are happening that will seek to address some of the very long-standing challenges that have existed for junior doctors. And I am very positive about the fact that the government, NHS England and the universities are very, very excited on making sure that resident doctors, medical students are getting as positive an experience as is possible. And I think we will be successful in, or at least I hope we will be successful in shifting the tide of unhappiness and negativity that has begun to emerge.
Now, as we end, our tradition is to ask you one line, one word for BAPIO's contribution to health.
Oh, that's massive, isn't it? I think.
Do we need an hour?
Might need several hours. I think BAPIO's contribution to healthcare has been to challenge some very long-held perceptions and beliefs within healthcare itself. And that challenge, I think, has proven very successful. So if I give you one example, that is to stand up and say that differential attainment is not acceptable and is incurable. That was BAPIO that stood up back in 2013 to challenge that view. And as a result of it, we've seen nearly 12 years of research, articulation, insight, and intervention to tackle that. So that, I think, is something that BAPIO led the charge on.
Thank you very, very much. And I really hope that the government will lead the charge on making our doctors happy and therefore patient care happy.
I'm sure they will. Thank you.
And reduce the waiting list. Thank you for joining on HealthCross Talks.
This video is created for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this video are personal and may include commentary on geopolitics and global affairs. They are shared for general awareness, discussion and understanding, and are not intended to offend, harm, or misrepresent any individual, community, organization, country, or religion. The information presented in this video is based on publicly available sources as well as material provided by our guest. All visuals and content used in this video have been included with the consent of our guest, while efforts are made to ensure accuracy.
Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and form their own opinions before drawing any conclusions.